This is the Friends of Recovery, dedicated to others, setting hearts free. We lift each other, we're living proof. The light is stronger when we know the truth.
Welcome back to the Friends of Recovery podcast. I am joined this week by John. John, welcome, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
This week, we're going to be talking about the Freedom Ride. It's an annual ride. This is going to be the second annual one that is happening at Fordu, which starts in Oneonta, and then all the bikers will go from Oneonta to Norwich to Delhi, or is it Delhi and then Norwich?
Delhi, then Norwich.
and then Norwich back to Oneonta, where there's going to be music, food, all sorts of good times, and most importantly, some sober fellowship. So, Joe, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the Freedom Ride last year, kind of how things went, and kind of how this all got started?
All right. Well, thanks, Tim. You know, last year we were sitting around, it was summertime, and we were just thinking about things we could do to really bring awareness to recovery. The best ways that we could come up with to let the right population know that there's a place they can get help at.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a summertime. A lot of us like to ride. And we thought, you know, there's lots of rides that they do for things. Why not do one for recovery?
And that's one of the big feedback things that I've heard about the ride itself is that as far as a lot of rallies or rides go, having very specifically a sober one is a lot more comfortable for a lot of riders.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of people came with their kids last year. So it's really nice when you can bring your whole family to an event and have a good time. You know, music, food, everybody goes for a ride.
Well, and very specifically last year, too, it was more of a jam session, right? As far as the music goes, which is just, I don't know. I think it's very nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Shout out to Randy and Charlie for coming out and playing music for us.
Yeah.
Amen. And guess what? It's grown because now some more new musicians are going to join.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they want to jam too.
So the main fundraiser portion of this event was T-shirts, correct?
Yes, we're going to have tie-dye T-shirts with the Runs logo on there. They're only $20.
That's nice.
So you get a cool tie-dye T-shirt. There's food there. So we're going to have sausage and peppers. We're going to have pulled pork, potato salad, pork and beans, you know, drinks, different snacks. There'll be lots of little knickknacks and things to give out. So, you know, all kind of recovery-oriented stuff and family fun events. You know, there'll be games for the kids to play. And
I know we've already got the 3D printers burring upstairs, getting ready to go with some cool stuff to print out for this event. Now, John, how did you and Joe meet? Like, what's your guys' history together?
Well, once upon a time in the universe far, far away, two guys got together and, talked about it. It's not like Dr. Bob and Bill, you know what I mean? So somebody mentioned to me, hey, you should say something to your son, because my son rides a motorcycle. Why don't you guys have a thing? So, of course, I mentioned LJ, and he did absolutely nothing to help other than show up, you know what I mean? But, Joe and I talked about it and, we threw it out there and, what a blessing to, get to ride motorcycles, enjoy the sun. I didn't drive a motorcycle. I do have a few. I drove my car with my daughter and my grandson and,
Nice.
So what a family. And then $20 for a t-shirt, donation for food. I mean, really, where can you go anywhere? You know what I mean? Like it's a freebie, really.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
legitimately.
So, and right here in Oneonta, I guess, and it's going to probably be rain or shine, I'm assuming.
Yep.
And, we're not a glum lot.
Yeah.
So, and I've known Joe, I'm trying to think how long I've known you now, bro. It seems like forever anyway. So, we have a great friendship and this is all part of it. And we only anticipate this to grow, our friendship to grow, recovery to grow here in Oneonta. Obviously it's needed here and, whatever we can do to, help. That's why we're here.
Now, what are some of the groups either here at Fordu or kind of in the greater Oneonta or Otsego area that are really kind of like your go-tos that you really vibe with for recovery?
Well, you have, there's an NA meeting here, I believe, Monday nights.
Yep.
If anybody's, has a struggling with drug addiction, that would be a good place for somebody to come. There's also a Wednesday all recovery meeting, which, really encompasses, what's wrong with your life. What do you want to fix in your life? Great meeting. And then I think just about every day of the week between here and next door St. Mary's, there's an AA meeting. So,
yeah.
If you're struggling with drinking, if you're struggling with alcoholism, there's a place to come, Nothing we could do to help you throw your life away, but if you want to get your life together, this would be a good place to start.
Absolutely. Yeah, the all recovery meeting Wednesdays is really kind of that's the highlight of my week. I
Mhm.
really obviously Shane runs a great meeting, but the fact that that meeting is really geared towards literally whatever you're dealing with, whatever you're working on, and
Amen.
also offers kind of a really rare opportunity for people that maybe aren't in recovery supporting someone that is. Really kind of brings the community together. So I really have pretty heavily appreciate that group.
Also, if you know somebody who needs to get into rehab or is struggling or need Narcan because one of your friends overdosed,
Yeah,
unfortunately, that's the times we're living in. It is not the same time world we grew up in. And if you're partying like that, you're really playing Russian roulette. So what a
correct.
blessing! If your friend's dead in the back of your car, you can come here and get some Narcan and take a chance of putting them back together. You know what I mean? So
100%.
Four dudes here, obviously it's the elephant in the room that everybody sees, the homeless, the drug addicts. And, there's somebody here, there's people trying to, help and fix and, help them people find a life, right? Because they're somebody's brother, sister, mother,
Hmm.
So that's the truth of it. We all know them. We see them. They used to be, just like, had jobs and homes and everything else. I don't think anybody wakes up one day and says, yeah, I want to be a drug addict, a
Correct.
homeless drug addict,
Right.
or alcoholic. So,
Well, and I think the thing too, I believe it was in March, they had tested 300 samples of heroin in Binghamton.
mhm.
And out of the 300, 32 of them contained any heroin whatsoever. The rest was 100% fentanyl and tranquilizer. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter what substance you think you're doing that's on the streets now. Like the odds of overdose are pretty unanimously high. And Narcan kind of doing God's work and absolutely saving
Amen,
people's
brother.
lives regardless of what substance they think they're using.
I think drug addiction affects everybody's life, some way, whether
Absolutely.
you're the addict or a friend of an addict or a parent of an addict. I don't think you can really escape it in today's society, unfortunately. So, right, save yourself, save your friends and family, try to save your community, maybe save the world. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So, I think that's kind of what Fordu's planting the seed, and we'll see what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, sobriety recovery is becoming more and more popular.
Mhm.
Thank God.
One of the kind of interactions we've had at some tabling events is younger families taking Narcan and being number one open minded to it, but number two thinking it's a great idea to have on them because the generational differences between what parents are dealing with kids in high school or college, even younger than that too. Uh, the ability to have that on them because they have no idea what their kids are going to be running into is, a very, very real concern. And I'm very happy to see the reception to people coming up and being like, yeah, this is just good to have. I have young kids. I have no idea what they're going to run into and what their friends are going to run into. So not a bad thing to have. And the fact that we have that vending machine, Norwich has the vending machine in Delhi as well, where someone can just go and get it. No questions asked. You're not on camera. You know what I mean? Just it's there, take it, use it, have it on hand.
Better to have it than not. Need it.
Correct.
So,
Yep.
You know, that's another great thing about the ride. When you think about it, we're gonna bring awareness
Mhm.
to recovery and what's happening here in the area. We're gonna have a good time. But while these things are happening, we're also educating people.
That's right.
They get to ask questions. They're in a safe place where they can ask questions they might not normally ask. And then another benefit is like we seen last year. There's people that came through these doors
Yeah.
that were in recovery, stayed in recovery, got their life back together, got their kids back. Now they're here supporting us and supporting the ride because they know how important it is to have a place to go when you need help.
Mhm.
I really don't care if you ride a bicycle or skateboard, or it really does. It's not what it's about. It's about us gathering together as a group. And cars are welcome. Motorcycles, obviously, it's probably riding your bike might be a little rough.
Yeah.
But come down even if you don't ride motorcycle. Come down if you can't be here to support the ride. There's obviously going to be food.
Yeah.
And music and cool T-shirts. So I mean, that sounds like a win-win for everybody who shows up. And obviously it's I'm assuming just going to keep growing and growing as most of the runs around town have. You know, what I mean, some of them falling off, like the ice cream run. That used to be a big run. I don't think it even happens anymore. So what a blessing that we can be sober and ride motorcycles, and
Yeah.
not to worry about tipping over.
Correct. Yeah. Very
Yeah.
well stated. Well,
And
yeah.
think about this with the ride. Everyone sees the ride and they're like, "What's that?"
Yeah.
Well, that's the recovery ride, freedom ride, freedom from recovery. from drugs and alcohol.
Mhm.
That's such a great, it just puts it out there like, wow, recovery is okay because they see cool people
Yeah.
riding motorcycles, supporting recovery.
Well, and that's a really cool thing too, right? Like if someone doesn't ride, if maybe they don't have access to a vehicle, like just showing up for, everyone getting back here to Oneana. So what time does the ride start and what time should people, if they were coming to, just kind of the after deal?
Well, we're going to start registration for the riders around 10 a.m. Get everybody registered and on the way around 11 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
We figure from here, they'll go to Delhi. They'll have a little rally there. There'll be snacks and stuff there and
Mhm.
things to do there. And then from Delhi, they'll go to Norwich, have another rally there, some snacks and some drinks, another rally, and then head back here. And when they figure around 3:30, they'll get back here and have some food out, be ready for dinner and some live music.
So with that said, so who is providing the food this year?
Well, this year it's going to be Fat Boys Pizza.
Oh, nice. Right here in
So,
Oneana.
right in Oneonta over on the south side. They've been really good to us. They really support recovery. And they're going to make a nice shindig for us. Some pulled pork, sausage and peppers, homemade potato salad, homemade baked beans. Everything's homemade there. So
Nice.
be
Oh,
some good stuff, man.
and I know they did very well by us for the Super Bowl party earlier this year as well.
Big time. Good
Um,
wings, good pizza.
Yeah. There's a donation of water or something like that as well.
Yeah, the Plaza Diners always been kind to us. Also, Nina's, Freddie, and Alethea down there have always been good to recovery and Fordu. So there's a bunch of local people that are support us in many ways.
Yeah, thank goodness we couldn't do it without them.
Well, and if anyone out there also wants to donate anything, feel free to let us know. You can always email us. You can email Joe directly at joe@friendsofrecoverydo.org as well if you're looking to get involved. And yeah, feel free to just let us know.
And Tim, I would be remiss if I didn't say something about the musicians.
Yeah.
These guys work hard and they play a lot of gigs and they're going to play for us for free.
Yeah,
You know, 'cause they
here's
really
your Randy and Charlie and
Right.
anybody else. I think the tie dye yogi JoJo is going to be here also. So what a blessing!
Yeah, I think Frankie Fingers is going to be
Yeah.
Big Lou. So it's going to be a great time. And, these musicians, they support recovery.
Feel like I hear this said on a regular basis, but who's got it better than us?
Nobody.
Amen, brother. Yeah, shout out to the other four dudes who obviously treated us really nice last year. They had stuff set up for us, to do at each spot, and I'm sure they'll outdo themselves as they did last year. So, I know they come in on a Saturday when they could be home with their families and not working. So,
Well, and I think that's the important part too, right? Is on a Saturday, centers are closed for the most part. We are occasionally open every other weekend, at least at the Oneana Center. I know Norwich is a little bit more regular, but being able to have that support on a weekend day and then also have it be kind of a really pretty positive fellowship opportunity to just hang out with a bunch of other people that are, living in recovery, living in sobriety, having a good time.
Yeah. It's a great time to network too.
Yeah.
See a lot of your friends and neighbors get together. Little, some nice food, some great music. The bands that are playing for us, having Randy and it looks
Charlie will be here again, he said.
Yeah.
So other people mentioned they might come.
Frank and Lou will probably play.
That'd be nice. Yeah. So, and if there's somebody out there listening and they want to come bring their guitar and play some music, we won't
Yeah.
stop them.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. Amen.
Anybody who wants to, just see what recovery's about, you're
Yeah.
welcome.
Well, and I think that's a great opportunity right there as well, is just to kind of see how the fellowship, exists,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's not like it's going to be a boring time or an unfun time, that's for sure.
Yeah. This way of life in recovery is so amazing and so fun and rewarding.
Mhm.
People don't realize they think about, going to a rehab or going to a meeting
Yeah.
for an hour. They have no idea. The average person has no idea about the life. It's a way of life, and that freedom and that joy of just being okay all the time.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Now, what are some other recovery events like this that either of you have gone to or have done that have really had a pretty positive takeaway from it?
I've been to some large gatherings. There used to be an NA convention in Connecticut that was pretty huge. We went out to the 54th annual roundup in Florida. A bunch of people from recovery came. I'm a snowbirder now, so I spent part of the winter on Drayton Island. People came down. I met them there. What a great, I don't know how to be hundreds and hundreds of years of
Yeah.
recovery were there. What a great thing. And then some of the people came back and stayed on the island with me.
Yeah.
So Drayton Island had his first recovery meeting. And then I've been to most concerts are kind of aware. There's like family camping and sober camping. I've been to All Good, Gathering of the Vibes, some of the bigger, most grassroots in Ithaca. There's a meeting, you know what I mean? So there's really, once you get through the first days or the hardest days part of recovery, then really there's no bar, no concert, no place you can't go that, you can't take recovery, or there's not recovery already there. So what a blessing.
Yeah, and right here in Oneonta, after this run, a few weeks later, we're going to have the Rothenberger run.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking to get a date for the Clean and Sober Camping now. So Crazy Acres has told us we are welcome back there. So we got
Nice.
to make a date for that.
Nice.
That's always a blast, lots of fun and swimming and fishing and boating and playing games. And then there's a meeting in the morning, a meeting in the afternoon, and a meeting at night by the campfire.
I mean, there's nothing better, right, in the sun, just being around a fire with people that you actually enjoy being with.
We're looking forward to it warming up so we can start that process.
Yeah.
I'll be leaving for Florida, I think, tomorrow or Thursday. I'll be back when the sun comes out, and be looking forward to sunnier and brighter days here in upstate New York.
Now, and just for people that might not be aware, John, like when you're here, you bring a very powerful energy to all the rooms that you particularly attend to. Why don't you give us just kind of a little bit of background on yourself and kind of some of your experience with recovery?
Sure, of course. I'll be clean and sober 3 years, August 24th.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Which is my brother's birthday and my daughter's birthday. So what a great day to get sober. I first started down this road in 1989. I got on my first rehab graduation day from high school. Needless to say, it's not 1989 anymore. And,
Yeah.
I believe it's 2025. And, struggled with alcohol and drug addiction most of my life. You know what I mean? So what a blessing. I just came from, my eyes are kind of dilated and I can't really see that well. I just trying to stay on top of my health these days. So when I sobered up, I had, high blood pressure, diabetes. My heart was an AFib, and had a $300 a day oxycodone habit. So, my health was in the shitter, and so was my life, you know what I mean? So, fast forward, I think I had one of my children. I have 5 children. One of them would talk to me then. So, fast forward, almost 3 years later, man, I live on an island in Florida for half the winter, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I should be probably in jail or dead. And here I am, but with a life beyond probably anything I deserve. So I wasn't always a giver in the Oneonta community. Was a bit of a taker. So, I'm here to pay my penance partly. That's part of the reason I'm trying to be a bright, shining beacon for recovery in Oneonta, because I wasn't always could maybe considered a bit of an unsavory character.
Mhm.
And that's not who I am anymore. So what a blessing to get sober, find sobriety, find a crew of other sober people that are, give me 3 solid sober guys, and I could take over the island by noon. You know what I mean? So what a blessing to be around people that are honest and trustworthy and do what they say they're going to do.
Yeah.
And on top of it, some of my children have had struggles with, with drugs and alcohol, and, Fordu and people here and people in the community have been here to help me, help my family. So I'm just paying it forward. I'm just here to do whatever the next right thing looks like. So, and if anybody's struggling and knows me personally, knows that, I'm always just a phone call away, whether I'm here or in Florida, wherever I am. There's nothing more important to me than helping somebody else find their way to the light, which was given to me so freely by whoever came before me, which was, the list is long. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So there's been a lot of great people that have come before me and found recovery and turned their life around. And unfortunately, there's been a lot that haven't, you know what I mean? And we've all
Mhm.
buried friends and family and people that, couldn't get it. So I'm here to help the people that want it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of us have friends and family that could use it or need it. And unfortunately, maybe one of them dies today. You know what I mean? Untreated alcoholism is, I think, the number one killer of drugs. I was seeing something I was looking at videos,
Yeah.
and, fentanyl second. So, alcohol kills more people than anybody else. And then how do we celebrate somebody who just died from drinking himself to death? Then we try to drink ourselves to death too.
Yep.
So what a, bit of a messed up society. So like, I'm here to tell you that the coolest thing I ever did was get clean and sober. And, I thought my drinking and drugging was, I was cool, what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was the farthest thing from that. So I'm just here to tell the truth. That's the truth.
I mean, that's a big part of my story, very specifically, is dealing with the grief of a death from substances and using substances to try to control that. And it's a very recursive issue in how we deal with grief. And I think finally being able to get in the rooms and process some of that has absolutely changed my path. So other
Well,
people can get on that. That's absolutely the way to go.
I considered myself a bit of a tough guy when I drank and did drugs, and that anybody can throw their life away. It doesn't take any tough guy to do that. You can throw
Yep.
your life away any day of the week. The real tough guys are the people that pick themselves up by their bootstraps and
Yeah.
do the next thing for their family and their friends and their community. Like I said, anybody can throw. You can walk outside this door, and there's 20 people to help you throw your life away.
That's
But,
true.
what I mean, if you come inside this door, there's 20 more people to help you pick you up, get your friends, your family, your whoever, your parents into recovery, and that's the blessing. As I said, we buried enough friends and family over the years. What a blessing to, be able to help a few find their way back.
Amen.
Very much so. Now, I guess this question is for both of you. If there's someone out there, maybe they've been in the rooms before, maybe they've come to a recovery center and things haven't stuck, they've gone back out, or maybe they have a lot of other influence from other individuals that really don't want to see them get better. What's something that you would tell someone that's maybe tried this before, maybe it hasn't stuck, maybe other things have gotten in the way, but what's that little nugget of experience that could really help push somebody to doing the real hard work this time?
Well, I would say my best day when I was out there drinking and using wasn't even close to as good as my worst day clean and sober.
Yeah, that's true.
It
Truth right
just,
there.
I mean, it just gets better and better in here. I know it's tough at first. Lord knows I had my struggles,
Mhm.
but it's so worth it. It's so worth it to wake up and know where I am and remember what I did and not have to wonder or be ashamed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I, the feeling of just being okay, just knowing that everything's going to be all right. I don't have to have a drink or get high no matter what happens.
Well, I would start by saying this: who's got it better than us, Big Joe?
Nobody.
I guess if God can save a couple bums like us, then that means I would tell anybody is you have a chance.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
what I haven't done wrong in this life, probably Joe covered the other side. I've done just about everything wrong a man can do in a lifetime, and God saved a wretch like me. So I'm not, that's the story. I don't think I lived long enough to get it. I don't think I can really equate, anything to anything great I did. I give the glory to God. Obviously he had other plans for me.
Mhm.
So, or I'd be dead now. And, or a little to the left or a little to right. It's a pretty fragile thing that we be telling a different story today.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
And I guess for me, one of the things kind of in line what John said is, gosh, God making me useful, being able to help people. That's such a great feeling, you know, so they don't have to make the mistakes I made.
Yeah.
You know?
I have a life beyond anything I deserve. So I'm just grateful every day that I got what I got when I got it. So I got sober in '89. I was 19 years old. I'm not 19 years old anymore.
Yeah.
So what a blessing to. I'll be 55 this year. I'd like to feel that I'm retiring from that part of my life and moving on to the next part.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you get clean and sober, you're not alone anymore. I've got quite a few 24 hours under my belt, and I've dealt with a lot of things in my life, both good and bad, and I've never had to deal with them alone since I got into recovery.
True story. We've all seen some hard days in recovery. You know what I mean? And sometimes they're the biggest blessings in the end.
Mm.
Very well said.
I don't know. I could tell you all day how great it is and how bad it used to be.
Yeah.
I could tell you all kinds of horrible stories of, things I've done and things I've saw. And
Mhm.
I'd say if you're having, if you're on the fence, what do you got to lose? There's a liquor store, there's a bar, there's somebody out there with some meth around the corner. Like it's all out there waiting for you. What do you got to lose? Maybe your family who loves you is waiting for you to come back. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just that simple. Come back. We love you. We missed you all along. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Put it down. You lost the war. You lost the battle. I know that's hard. It was a hard one for me as well. I lost. I'm a tough guy. You know what I mean? So the most beautiful, tough thing you could ever do is come back to your family who's been waiting for you for, I don't know. For me, it was 30 years. They got to watch me kill myself a little bit each time on installment plan. So what a blessing. You can just give up. You lost. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? And, come down here, get into rehab, get into a meeting, there's so many things, outpatient, there's, deal with your mental health or, it's not cool anymore to be, crazy. So,
And I just had one other thought. I've been sponsoring people for over 3 decades.
Yeah.
Never once in all my time has anybody ever called me up and said, "Hey, I'm back out there. I'm still drinking. I'm still getting high, and everything's going great. I got a raise, and I got a beautiful wife, and I've never received that phone call.
Yeah.
I've gotten just the opposite. Can you come bail me out? Yeah, my wife just threw me out.
Yeah. I don't think we're anti-drinking and doing drugs. If you're having a good time, have a great time, man. I'll buy you a shot. You know what I mean? But if you're not, we're here to help you. The party's over. The party was over for me a long time. I just didn't realize it. So, that's what we're here for. We're here to help the people that want the help. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, everybody who needs it is not going to get it.
Well stated. So, guys, thank you. Both Joe and John, real kind of pillars of the community here, both at Fort Dew and in Oneonta and in surrounding areas. So, greatly appreciate you both being here.
Yeah, please, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Tim.
Freedom Ride, August 2nd. You can check out the Fort Dew website. I'll make sure all the links and stuff are in the show notes too if you're looking for more information on that. Even if you don't ride, make sure to come by. It's going to be a good time, good people, good food, good music. You can't really go wrong with that. But outside that, guys, we'll see you again next week. Thank you so much.
This